Okay, co-production. This is the other big theme. And our big teachers in co-production are First Nations, Inuit, and Métis communities across Canada. So it soon became evident in this work that this was a big need within First Nations and Inuit and Métis communities. And it was a need that was very unsuccessful in how it was being met. And so we started putting together what we thought would be a way to start interacting within the First Nations communities. And we did it right at the beginning because we never went unless we were asked. And so First Nations communities started hearing about our work in the late 1980s and just the beginning of the 90s. But it soon became evident that the best way to work was that it was co-production. That meant that it was going to be managed, it was going to be facilitated, it was going to be implemented, and it was going to be researched by First Nations people. That they were going to drive this within their own communities. And so if we look at it now in 2012, we have been working within 300 communities across the country, and they've taught us lots. They've taught us a lot. In fact, sometimes I feel like I am a child sitting at people's knees, and they are giving me the information on how to do this. One of the things that they taught us is the incredible eclectic nature of us as human beings, and that acceptance of that, and how we build that into our knowledge mobilization. So I'll tell you a little story. I was doing a training session at the very beginning, before we'd hired our Aboriginal advisor. And at this training session, we had just spent a session, a day on sexual abuse. And it was pretty heavy. It was pretty heavy. There were lots of tears, and we had to work through lots of information. And so we got through it. We wrapped it up. I put some quote on the PowerPoint. This was a quote about something, to sort of give you hope. And I said, okay, now you're ready to go home. And they just sat there and said, no, we can't go home. Okay, why can't we go home? Well, we can't go home with this heavy spirit. We cannot leave an educational system, an educational session, and carry this heavy spirit. So I said, okay, so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to play games. Okay? What game are we going to play? So basically, for the next hour, we played musical chairs. We played musical chairs, we laughed, we tripped over each other, we had a good time, and then they said, Judy, we're now ready to go home. That concept of bringing laughter and being able to deal with a whole range of emotions when you're looking at knowledge mobilization of violence prevention is really critical. So we've taken that concept. So if you sat through one of our training programs, you would see, and I laugh when I'm at Sri Lanka, when I've been in India, when I've been in Guyana, different places in the world. I've learned so many games because we go so far, and we stop and we play a game. And then we go again, and we stop and play a game. And this ability to shift people from dealing with really intense topics and struggling with issues, because so many of them affect them personally, and then being able to laugh and play, and then come back and deal with this intense issue, has been really critical to our success. So I always think, I lost this because I'm throwing my arms around. I always think of the First Nations people of Canada who taught me, again, how to play and when to play. So that is a really important piece.